Able to spot a transplant from literally a mile away. FE, DHI, implanter pens, pre-made incisions, DHT method implanted in the frontal row of the hairline, like a feeling of success after all these years trying all these useless treatments. How to choose the best clinic for you. Using natural products. I've been there, I've done it. If you want to go a natural route, just shave it all off, more on the life. What is your plan B? What you gonna do? If there's gonna be no growth, your donor gonna be destroyed, or both? What you gonna do?
So basically, he got this hair transplant to stop the receding and make his hair more full and...
No, hair transplant does not stop the further receding. Whether you get a transplant or not, your male pattern baldness will continue. Hey, what's going on, guys? Rolandas here with back again. Another live stream after it seems like forever, isn't it? First of all, thanks so much everyone for joining this live stream, and just watching a couple of like my previous videos that I have posted recently, especially the one with Dr. Ferreira. I'm pretty sure you found it really exciting and insightful. First of all, let's just see quickly through the chat. Shout out to everyone who is here. We currently have 27 viewers. Wow, that's quite nice actually. I didn't expect, to be honest, to have so many after being away for like over a year. Yeah, shout out to who are these guys in the chat? Ronnie, Aman, Amor E455. That's some nice compliments about my hot body. Thank you very much. Yeah, some nice people here. Jasiki, Kindrat, welcome everyone. So today we're gonna be actually talking about my third transplant, believe it or not. First of all, actually, before we start and going ahead, can you please let me know how my sound is? Because I obviously have a little bit of a different setup with the microphone. So how the microphone sounds, how is the background and everything. Just let me know in the chat if everything is fine. If the music is not too loud by any chance. And we're gonna go right into it. So I'm gonna be actually analyzing my third hair transplant pictures that Dr. Ferreira sent me. So before and immediately after the surgery. If you watched my previous two videos, so the live stream with Dr. Ferreira as well as my third transplant journey, the first 10 days, I've put a couple of pictures in there, but believe it or not, I was holding the temptation to analyze it myself, just because, as you know, I'm a pretty big nerd when it comes to hair transplants. Just because I really wanted to kind of look from the perspective, from like a fresh perspective, basically, on my own pictures, and to have a genuine reaction, essentially, whether it's good, bad, and share my thoughts on it. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing right now. Your sound is better than my your sound is better than my hairline, Dixie. Well, I don't know, thank you, but also you should fix that hairline. There's some ways of doing it, obviously, as you know. Let's see, your hair is darker now. I think it's just the light, really. I've got, to be honest, it's not the best setup currently. I have like just one dark light. Let me see if you see, if I switch on the room light, it becomes brown. But yeah, anyways, it's just the light condition. I think the most accurate would be in my video on my third transplant journey, what I like filming outside, inside. So that's going to be the hair color more natural and most accurate. Good sound. Well, thanks so much, Ronnie. Alright, a lot of questions I see, so hold on, guys. We're gonna go into that question. I promise you that. I'm not gonna, let you hanging. We're gonna get right into them, but first I really want to start with the pictures. I believe it's gonna be really cool. Let me just pull this up. And 3, 2, 1, we're going into this. Ba-bam! This is me. Welcome, Mr. Rolandas. Yeah, so this is me just before my third hair transplant. Yeah, looks pretty good, not gonna lie. Obviously the hair is it's not styled, it's not very long, it's just, whatever is naturally. I just basically washed it in the morning in the hotel before I went to the clinic, and yeah, just naturally air dried it, really, and that's it. That's how that's it. I usually just try to comb it a little bit on the side, just because, I don't know, I like it. Plus, my hair is actually growing a little bit towards that direction. It's not exactly straight down, it's a little bit towards this. And I think we might be able to see once the hair is shaped completely, and I'm gonna zoom in just to show you basically how it is. But yeah, I think, yeah, looks pretty good. Obviously, nice haircut. That's, to be honest, for the last 2 years, that's after my second transplant, that's kind of a hairstyle I've been pretty much rocking all the time. Yeah, a little bit slightly longer on the top, quite short on the sides. So on the sides, I was going really just like number 2 guard, with the machine at the barbershop. And yeah, and maybe slowly blending up at the top. But I was able to get away with number 2 guard all around my donor after having, 6,500 grafts. So yeah, that's something crazy, actually. You look like a Turkey Olympic shooter assassin. I've seen this this picture of this guy. I was just showing to my fiance as well. Like, so hilarious. I think I've seen on the Hair Loss Conquerors group, on the Hair Loss Hair Transplants group on Facebook, someone posted this and saying, I would love if this guy would do my surgery. Imagine, doesn't freaking need any magnification. Yeah, anyways, so yeah, that's a bit of a close-up. Ooh, look at that. I've got a gray hair. Oh well, perks of getting old. By the way, I'm 32, 33, something like that. Anyways, yeah, pretty much full coverage, must say. Yeah, and there you go, the crown. So you can see the two areas. So basically, after the second transplant, it kind of finished right here. So that was the end of it. Just because even from this angle, it looks quite thin, these both areas. But once we're gonna see it later from the back, when I'm looking like this, from that angle, there is actually a lot of hairs. The hair is just miniaturized, and obviously not many like multi-units, like triples, you know, quads even, or double guards, like mostly singles in there. That's why it's overall makes this not really great illusion. And during the second surgery, we just decided not to go ahead and do anything right there, because I just started oral minoxidil, so I was hoping maybe gonna improve. And, you know, it's always better to preserve what you have instead of just going right through it and essentially destroying it. You know, it's not great. So I give it, I think, a fair chance. Nearly 2 years. I think actually it was exactly 2 years after my second transplant. To try and see how oral minoxidil gonna, you know, perform. It did improve a little bit. I wouldn't say anything dramatic. And I'm on 2.5 milligrams a day. I'm still using it. I'm absolutely fine. I actually did all the test results, you know, through a doctor. I did all the scans and everything, and I'm gonna be talking about it in another video probably in the future. But yeah, flash news, everything is fine. I'm fine. So I'm still taking it, but I do not want currently to increase to 5 milligrams, just because, you know, it's good to have this option for the future in case I need it, and I will. It's possible I will need it. I'm still 30 something years old. You know, still a long life ahead of me. Hopefully. Anyways. Yeah, there you go. So that's a side view. Yeah, obviously you cannot see the hairline currently, but it's just lots of hair, and it looks actually pretty good. From this angle, it's a little bit better, this particular part of the crown. Well, it's not really, it's the opposite side of the crown, but it was a bit thinner there as well. But other than that, yeah, look, fucking lots of gray hairs. You know, just an FYI, I think, I'm not sure, but I think I've noticed more gray hair coming up after my first transplant. And believe it or not, I think it can be related. During the transplant, the donor gets some damage, obviously, during the, you know, extractions. And I think some hair just turned gray after that. Again, I don't know how much truth is in that. I didn't dig deep into it, but I've heard some evidence from the hair transplant doctors even themselves saying that it's possible. So obviously, yeah, don't, you know, don't take my word for it. You know, don't, yeah, it's just a speculation at this point, but I'll look into it in the future. Yeah, obviously come this way. It's pretty actually here a good example of how much actual hair is there and how thick they are, because, you know, whatever is from the front of the hairline over here, they're kind of dropping towards here, and you can see it's not really that much coverage. It's not really that thick. So it just proves the point that the hair transplants are just illusion of density, not true density. You know, if I would have true density, that would be just like a thick mob, essentially. But yeah, you know, can't complain. Looks good, really. Here you can kind of see that it's not quite there. Yeah, the crown. And I think that was the major thing when I was styling my hair for the last 2 years. That it's just that area was, when I like make some hairstyles or whatever, you know, spike it up or whatnot, it was just looking a bit weird from this angle. If you look straight at me, it just was a bit empty just because there is no hair, kind of balance the whole view. And also a little bit here, but that area was a bit more. And yeah, that's, if I can, you know, be a bit nitpicky, that's, you know, that's what it was. There you go. That's again the crown. The rest of the area looks fantastic, phenomenal to be honest. Yeah, I'm really happy with the transplant. Yeah, so there you go. Actually here, it can be a bit concerning, I guess, but it's not something new. So you can see kind of the outline that drops a little bit here, that dips into the Norwood 6 area, possibly even Norwood 7. But again, it's not exactly male pattern baldness here because, well, at least Dr. Ferrer haven't noticed it after analyzing with a microscope. I think this is just extractions from the previous one, and plus the way the hair is growing, because the hair is growing, basically if the camera is pointing like right now and the hair would grow this direction, you would see right through it. You would see what, you know, what's around the hair essentially. But if you're gonna put the hair up, look, it straight away creates a lot of coverage. So if you're gonna overlap, everything looks great. But if you're gonna put the hair like that, look straight away, you can see kind of through it. So this might be here the case as well. Yeah, because you can kind of see the angles. Yeah, temple peaks actually, that's another thing we've touched a little bit in this transplant. It's not really weak, so I had temple peaks done my last surgery and structured quite a bit. You can see some of them a little bit more obvious to be honest, but you know, that's just what it is. Yeah, this is a bit darker, but it gave more structure to it. And it looks pretty good, not gonna lie. It was much thinner before my second one, but I would like it to be a bit more defining, I guess, and that's why I asked Dr. Ferrer to go in there just to put a few grafts here and there. But yeah, other than that, someone was commenting recently, what was it now? Under either one of the videos or in the forum or somewhere, I don't know, that's my hair is like sticking up. I think it's from one of the videos. It looks like my hair is growing up basically. As you know, this like bad quality cheap transplants, that's how they normally implant 90 degrees vertically essentially, and they're growing up like that. And the guy was talking about the picture that I've taken with when I styled my hair. Obviously when I'm gonna style my hair kind of backwards or up or whatever, it will look like it. But here you can kind of see direction. It's kind of going this way, or like very flat, like what I would say speculate like 15, 20 maybe degrees angle. It's, yeah, pretty flat. So even some people in real life, obviously the guy who knows that I had the transplants, you know, I asked him just to kind of look through it, analyze, and he said, oh, it looks like your hair is like growing kind of down. I was like, well, yeah, just look at yours. By the way, he has a little bit of male pattern baldness, but not much. And I said, look at yours. He looked at it and it's like, yeah, well, kind of similar, grows down as well. That's how it should be, by the way, not up. And yeah, look at these gray hairs. Lovely stuff. But yeah, I must say, just the donor, the sides, you know, the sides are usually, they don't have as much grafts per centimeter square as, for example, the occipital area. But after 6,500 grafts all over the place extracted, this looks pretty freaking decent. I'm not gonna lie, it's, you know, it doesn't look like there was done anything, to be honest. Yeah, and especially, well, someone again was asking me, I think under the video with Dr. Ferreira interview, that he mentioned that I kind of have potentially up to what, 13,000 grafts extracted, like overall from day one, like before a first surgery. And they were like, it's impossible your donor gonna be looking bad. Look at this. I mean, look, extracted 6,500. It's freaking great. Like, look, what can I say? I have a great donor. Thank you very much, whoever created me. I mean, it's great. I've been very blessed to have such a great donor. You know, might as well use it. I don't know. And yeah, that's here you can kind of see clearly the outline of the Norwood, which is Norwood 5. So it's just touching the crown, the whorl. If that would be Norwood 6, it would be a bit lower. The Norwood 7 obviously would be somewhere around here. So yeah, I'm not that bad as people, you know, might think it is, but also it's not that great. Norwood 5 is like top of the Norwood chain, essentially. But yeah, from this angle, it looks many more hairs. But again, it's thin. There's just most of them single and doubles, and that's why compared to the thick transplanted area where we have implanted like what, between 40 and 65 grafts per centimeter square, and like mostly doubles, triples, even quads and quintuples, it looks quite different, isn't it? And that's the main reason. The hairs are there, but it's just the contrast. That's why it kind of gives it away. Yeah, and that's essentially someone asked just now in the chat, why did I have my third transplant? Well, I mentioned already on the video that Ferrer asked me, well, he asked me if I want to get another transplant. I was like, well, I don't know, maybe, but I was totally fine. I didn't think about my hair at all. I was surprised that he actually emailed me. And then I said, but you know what, I don't want to spend money right now into the surgery, so I don't really, you know, doesn't matter. Unless you're gonna do it for free. What do you think? He said, yeah, let's do it. I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Might as well. And I think actually that was a perfect kind of time to come back to YouTube, because I've been busy with life, other things, and obviously motivation drops down, you know, becomes a habit not doing it. So that's why I want to kind of come back and, yeah, just have some fun. I really have been having so much fun lately with, you know, editing videos and stuff like that and interacting. And there's a lot to go through. I've seen this industry go downhill, worse than ever. Sad reality. I'm just go quickly on the chat. So many comments. 51 viewers. God damn it. Welcome, everyone. I don't know why you're here. Welcome. What can I say? Yeah, hit that like. Yeah, that's right. Martian, whatever is your name, but I remember you by your logo. Welcome. Yeah, hit the like button, guys. Let's push this video, or let's try to push this video to, or live stream to more people, just because, as you know, I'm all about transparency, all about no bullshit, and I freaking hate bad hair transplants, bad doctors, people who are taking advantage by promoting bullshit products, snake oil scams, you know, freaking all of these things. It just boils my blood, and that's why one of the reasons I started this channel. So yeah, I've done, I don't know how many, 200-300 videos already. Everything you can find, you want to know, it's probably there, but we're going to be covering even more topics. So yeah, hit that like button. Let's push it to some more viewers. Let's answer some questions. Amiri, hi, I have a question. If I keep a buzz cut with the side and back shaved, will the scars from an FE hair transplant be visible when my head is shaved down to the skin? Thanks for your videos. Well, unfortunately, I do not have a crystal ball. It depends. It really depends how you are healing. For example, my scars are so visible, it's crazy, which we're gonna go into it a bit later. Again, like one of the pictures here. I'm gonna show it, so stay tuned. But that being said, I've seen people healing extremely well to the point that they can literally go skin fade, or they can literally shave their head completely, and you really cannot see the extraction points at all. For some people, you're gonna be seeing a little bit, and for some people, like literally zero. So basically, their scars when they're healing, they're creating some pigment, and it looks pretty much similar to the skin color, which is, it's great. Like, look, I've been always jealous with these people because I've got hypertrophic scars, so they have zero pigment. They properly white. So any kind of cut I have in my body, it's basically, you know, as white. Well, not as white as it gets. Some areas are healing a little bit better than the others, but my scalp specifically, they're properly white. So again, on the picture later, I'm gonna show I had from childhood like some quite big scars, and until this day they're properly white, so super visible. Anyways, yeah, let's just go into this, I guess, because a lot of these questions can be answered this way. That's another view, by the way, of my crown. So there you go. That's what I was talking about. Have a look at this. You see, from this angle, looks pretty freaking good. And some people would say like, oh, you didn't even need the transplant. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. What do you think? Would you do a transplant if it would look like that all the time from all the angles? Or I don't know. Well, what do you think? What do you think, chat? Let me know. By the way, I'm trying to stay hydrated. It's so freaking hot here. So yeah, trying to keep up. Anyone? Look perfectly fine, Arash. Yeah, exactly. If you look from this, it's fine. And that was my whole point for the last 2 years, since I had these two transplants. I really didn't care about my hair. You know, I swear, like the only time, obviously, when I'm like styling in a certain way, it kind of stands out a little bit. It's a bit less volume essentially in there. But other than that, it never really bothered. And plus, because it's in the crown, in the area that, you know, people normally balding in this area anyway. So I would look like naturally getting old. Oops, probably not the best thing. just a skirt, a little, what was it? Roots cover up, easy. Yeah, it's true. Actually, I could get away easily with a little bit of fibers or this spray in a kind of just spraying, you know, roots to make it darker. So basically it's more illusion of density. And I've used them in the past, especially after my first transplant. If you watched me for a while, you're gonna see these videos. That being said, I was not a fan of using long-term the fibers and everything, just because it's such a hassle. It's like, imagine you always have to, you know, you have to be careful under the rain, under the, well, maybe the wind, no, if you're gonna put the hairspray gonna stay, but it's just, I don't know, whenever like you're touching any pillows, you're laying down or whatnot, it can fall down or it can stain. It's just not great, you know. Yeah, so I wasn't really a big fan. I've never used it. So to me, it didn't bother me that much to use those on a daily basis. But that being said, after my first transplant, when I had a massive area behind just here, like pretty much like that, much thinner even. Yeah, I've been using quite a bit if I'm going out somewhere. Yeah, so depends really how much you hate it, I guess. Ooh, some interesting ones. So there you go. So with some wet hair, that's the reality, how you can actually see the outcome, the full outcome of the hair transplant. And what do you think? What do you think of the hairline combed back with the water sprayed all around? And by the way, Dr. Ferrer, when he's taking these pictures, he's taking like two direct, harsh artificial lights. So it's a bit much harsher than it would be in real life. What do you think? Do you think it looks great? Shall I add more density? Shall I lower the hairline? What's up? Hair looks great. Thank you. Yeah, that's the reason, basically. That's why I didn't... Well, I entertained an idea to lower the hairline. I really just want to ask Dr. what he thinks really about it. But yeah, we didn't really do much, if anything, to the hairline. I don't think we actually put much, maybe like a few grafts here and there, and mostly focus on other areas, which we're gonna go through. But you see from this angle, the temple peaks, they're not that dense to structure a bit more. So I guess that's why I wanted to structure them a little bit more. But yeah, I think the density is amazing. Look at those, you know, singles in the front. It's pretty nicely balanced, that it's staggered, but not in a certain pattern. It's just, yeah, it looks pretty good. Hands down to Dr. Ferrer. He's such an amazing artist. Imagine yourself doing the surgery. You have a blank canvas. Like I've been completely bald. There was literally zero hair, and now from zero, from scratch, you have to recreate this. Sometimes if I think about it, it just blows my mind. So, you know, and again, not surprising there's so many bad, you know, results, bad transplants, because it's difficult. You really have to have a really great artistic kind of look and eye to it, to be able to recreate something that's, you know, nature took away from you, essentially. So yeah, that's why we see all of this bad transplant. They just like implant up and they just think, oh, there was no hair, now there is hair, job's done. No, really. Yes, I do still take oral minoxidil, 2.5 milligrams a day. I'm doing fine. I've done some tests, quite a bit of tests actually, recently, about half a year ago, and yeah, everything went fine. But I'll probably gonna do a video on it just to kind of go more, you know, into the details. Anyways, that's a good picture from the top. So what do you think? Is it a good density or a bad density? Well, I personally think it's pretty damn good. Just because, again, pretty much majority of this area was bald. Some of it in the very front, the frontal third over here was slick bald. Literally with zero hairs. With the wet hair, I can live with that. It's absolutely fine if, you know, under the weather, like the rain, or if you like, I don't know, some pool or whatnot, it doesn't look too bad. What do you think? I would definitely, and that's again one of the reasons why I didn't really care about any further transplants, because the density is pretty good. You know, it's not native density, but most people will not even care, to be honest. And there you go. Here we can see from this area the areas that are a bit weaker, and that's basically what we focus. So basically, as you notice, I was sweeping my hair currently, like, what was it, this way, left, right, left. No, this way. Okay, so So I'm coming this way, this direction, and on the picture you're gonna be this way. That's, if you can kind of look a little bit, you cannot really see. So the hairs over here kind of growing this way here, then going straight, and then from here, you see here they kind of start already growing, not exactly straight, but more like to the left. So basically, there were, during my first transplant, there were a few very tiny miniaturized hair that's almost invisible, and Dr. Fair was looking at them obviously with magnification, and he was implanting around them, that kind of trying to create the similar direction to mimic what's been lost essentially. And that's why it's like that. It's not exactly straight. But it's a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. You tell me. I mean, since it's a blank canvas, we can make it perfect if it makes sense. But also, nobody's perfect. That's how I look at it. Nobody's perfect. Nobody has been born with the perfectly symmetrical face or hairlines or whatever. And actually, I think if everything would be perfectly symmetrical, it would look a bit odd. So yeah, but that's why basically it's growing this direction, and therefore sometimes I was doing a hairstyle of like a side part when I was parting my hair right here in this area, and it's exactly on the edge of my donor area and my transplanted area. And as you know, during the hair transplants, it's the surgeon's trying not to go too much or too deep or too many grafts in this area, just because you can start, you can damage it, potentially the native hair in the like donor area or in this transition essentially, and that's usually the most difficult part, and usually gets a little bit thinner as it is here. It's possible to implant more, but it's usually best to do it like in stages rather than just going all in, because the more damage you're gonna do to the surrounding area, the more potential it can be over shock loss, which even in good hands can happen. So that's one of the reasons. But anyway, so it looks a bit thinner here, and this is the area where I asked Dr. to put a little bit more alongside obviously the this crowns. So yeah, but look at that, even forelock looks pretty thick. Actually, I think from here you can kind of, well, not exactly, it's the hairline, it's not the best angle as I mentioned earlier, because of the hair kind of this way, it looks a bit thinner. But yeah, doesn't look too bad. The temple peaks are very fine, very thin. So only this little tiny area I wanted just to kind of thicken a little bit. And there you go. That's this kind of side part area. And yeah, it's again, the hair angle and harsh light, it makes it worse than it actually is, but it's quite thinner. So I think if I would have a bit more density in there, it would let me make some better kind of side part. It's overall as a hairstyle gonna look a bit better. But other than that, god damn it, look at this hair. Freaking so many hairs. It looks great. Obviously, again, not the native density. Native density would be just Elvis Presley. But looks great. Can't complain. So that's another side. Yeah, here you can see a bit more the crown, obviously. Yeah, finer hair. Yeah, hair is quite long actually here. From the side. So yeah, like as you see, there's the temple peak not really going much. It's really just putting a few grafts here and there into the existing. So it's not really changing the structure of it, but rather just increasing slightly the density. So it's not really going to be a huge difference. This is very interesting photo, and I think I'm going to touch a bit later on it, that the hair angles, how it's growing. So look, from here the hair is growing kind of down this direction, but as you move forward, it starts growing this here, and the closer to the front of the head we're going, the more forward it grows, and then kind of grows here and then down. And that's why it's particular, at least in my case, that's how it grows. It's very difficult to recreate this area, the natural, so it looks perfect essentially, just because the hair, look how it grows here in the donor and in the recipient area, and with the angles, like normally some bad transplants they would just implant all straight. Here there is slight transition, or the implant just up. That's just a total nonsense, like from the hairline going all the way here. And that's why they never touch, the chip cleaners, they never touch the temple peaks, just because of the angles. It's very difficult to recreate, and that transition over here. So if I would be a nitpicky, I would say this is not ideal, but also I don't see how better you can make it in my case. It's just, otherwise, if you're just gonna implant in some other angles, for example, from this area more going down, and from this area more going to the hairline, it's gonna look a bit artificial because that's not how my other parts of the hair is growing. So yeah, that's that. It's just, yeah, just me being nitpicky. That's the crown, and like I mentioned, yeah, quite a lot of hairs. Clearly see lots of them, but they're very thin miniaturized, and overall they just yeah, it's a big contrast. There you go. Ooh, that's the best probably, yeah. So this area a bit, I would like a bit thicker, and obviously this. So, and that's mainly where we worked, to be honest. And ooh, okay, hold on. Silent control. I apologize for not answering the chat. I didn't realize. Ooh, how many questions. As I mentioned, I'm gonna go through the questions a little bit later. I first wanted to go through this, but okay, let's let's go into the questions of it. This is the best transplant I've ever seen. Thank you, Paul. Chapter 2 of the, what was it? I got some thing that's just on my off TED Talk. Yeah, welcome to my TED Talk. Hey, Mr. Lance, please take a look on the chat. Okay. We would really appreciate you not talking all the time about yourself, but focus on our questions. Ooh, okay, so it's only one person really just pushing the questions. Okay, thank you. Oh, 2 people, but what are your questions? Okay, answer now. Drop a question now, I'm gonna answer them. How are the sides from using thin for all these years? Be honest, please. Well, as honest as I can get, I have 0 side effects. I've been on finasteride 1 milligram a day. Oh, sometimes I've skipped here or there, but for the most part, I've been very good with it. Yeah, I don't have any side effects, like literally 0. I don't even know if I can even relate anything at all. It's like, I remember when they started, I was super worried about it. That's why I started with super low dose, 0.25 milligram, not a day actually. I used it twice a week, 0.25 milligrams, so I quartered the pill essentially. That's how paranoid I was after reading all these forums and shit. And yeah, I remember taking my first pill, and immediately I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's supposed to be happening. Is it happening? I'm like standing there for a minute. Well, nothing has changed. Didn't feel any change. Don't feel any different. Okay. So a few days passed. Didn't feel any different. Took another pill. Was like, surely now it's gonna be something. And I'm thinking to myself again, nothing happened again. So look at that. It kind of gave me a bit more confidence because I swear I was super paranoid about finasteride. That's why I avoided it for like 5 years. Biggest mistake, by the way. Don't repeat it. So yeah, and then it gave me more confidence. So then I increased the dose to 0.5 milligram. I started taking it 3 times a week for the next couple of weeks or whatnot. And eventually I went to 1 milligram a day full dose. And yeah, really just, I eased through it very easily and gradually. But I don't know, maybe that contributed to kind of no side effects at all. I know some people, when they start, they get quite a bit of sides. But yeah, for me, nothing really. And to be honest, sometimes I even forget to take it just because I don't think about my hair. That's why it's difficult. But it became a kind of a habit in the morning to take those oral minoxidil and finasteride. So yeah, everything works down there as well, in case you're wondering. Just trying to find a question from the guy who really was spamming the chat. Rocker Winter, just drop the question and I'm gonna answer it. You really want it. Roland, you don't think about your hair? Seriously? Yeah. No, seriously, absolutely. I don't care. And this is the funniest part because I found from my experience, we are obsessing so much about the hair when we don't have it. And now that I have it back, I don't care. I don't even style it. I just go whatever. Like, as long as it looks okay, presentable, that's all that matters. Look, I need to have a haircut on the donor, which I'm gonna have, by the way, next week. Because it looks already all over the place. Doesn't look very nice. Especially here on going all over the ears and stuff. But yeah, I really don't care. it's a funny phenomenon because I remember myself back, I was so obsessed. Like, imagine this, I was Norwood 5A, I had a very long hair from here. Actually, let me change it here. So I had a very long hair, like literally this long, and I was combing it through here, putting a lot of hairspray so it stays in one place and doesn't move. And that's it. That's how I was covering my whole area. And I was moving on with my day. And I freaking hated it. Every time I'm going on the street, there's wind, there's rain or whatnot. Like I can feel it's the whole flap, it becomes like rock solid, and it's just flapping a little bit like this. And now it was boiling inside of me. I was like, I was ready to just, I don't know, like stop doing whatever I'm doing and just go home. Like shut the door and just stay home, whatever, you know, so there is no like wind or anything too basic. I don't know, it was so bad on it took a massive toll on my mental health. Definitely, it was just a nightmare. I remember even there was like a massive wind, and because I was combing this way, like I'm doing right now, by the way, putting a lot of hairspray, and I would move my head like that, and I'm go through the wind like this, just so it doesn't flap, because this way gonna stay. As soon as you move like that, and I remember it happened so many times with someone else. I'm going on the street, I'm moving my hair, my head this way, and the wind is just moving the flap up. So, mate, I'm telling you, that was my blood was boiling inside of me. So yeah, coming from this to right now, whoo, a huge difference. I literally, and that's what I'm saying. I don't care right now because it doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter which way it grows or styled or whatnot. It looks great. Maybe the hairline, but again, I'm just being, not the hairline, sorry, the crown. But again, I'm just being nitpicky. So yeah. I was wearing a hat as well, actually, but yeah, hat is not great. So where is the question? I cannot see the question. Rocket Winter Master Renzo 1999. It will be more fair to answer first, Aman. Okay, Aman. Bro, the grafts will survive after 6 hours if maintain temperature around 4 degrees. If they do, then why so much hype of DHI and they charging very high? Recently, I got transplant, it took around 8 hours to complete. There is a studies done proving that the longer the graft staying outside the body, the less chances of survival they will have. That being said, doctors, before the DHI became a hype, were doing the standard, you know, slit and place technique, basically, with the pre-med incisions. They were doing it for years. That they extract all the 3,000, 4,000, whatever grafts, and then they implant after, you know, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours. And it grew. Not everything maybe, but like definitely over 90%. And that's why it became like a industry standard. At least 90% of survival, we can guarantee, every surgeon or clinic is saying it. And so, you know, and obviously nobody can claim, even via DHI, and trying your best is still not going to be 100% survival. So it's always going to be some grafts that just not going to take. But that being said, I don't think you have to focus too much on like how long the clinics are waiting out, like keeping the grafts outside the body, unless it's like something stupid like 16 hours. Like then obviously, or I've seen even some clinics doing some complete nonsense, like they extract the grafts and then they implant the next day. Guess what's gonna happen? 100% failure rate. Well, not 100%, but still, just nonsense. So, you know, obviously these are very inexperienced clinics. So yeah, you have to try and avoid those. Yeah. So yeah, don't focus on that. DHI, when I had a chat with Dr. Ferreira on my previous video, I asked him, so, you know, I had a conversation about DHI and regular. He thinks it's the best technique, DHI, because he's doing it, obviously. But again, he has bias, and there is, well, they were trying to make like study comparing 1-to-1 basically DHI implants and the pre-med incision implants and see which survives better. And in my opinion, you cannot really do it 1-to-1 exact comparison because, for example, Dr. Ferreira, he's doing only with implanters. He's not going to be as great with the pre-med incisions. He might know how to do it. He might try to replicate for the study. He's not going to be as great. Goes the same other way around for the surgeon who is only doing pre-med incisions, and he can use DHIs, but that's not, you know, he's not gonna be as experienced or as good than with the other technique. He's gonna have probably better results with that one. So don't really focus on technique, focus on the final results, really, what the doctors are presenting or the clinics presenting as a final result. If the final result is great with a good angles, good densities and all of that, extraction patterns, that's it. The technique should not matter. That's my belief, and I strongly suggest for everyone, stop obsessing about it, because it doesn't make any sense. There's so many doctors doing with pre-made incisions with amazing world-class results. So yeah, just don't focus on this. Okay. Any other questions? I answered 2 people who really wanted. Actually, hold on. And there is one that still didn't ask me anything. Okay, there you go. That's the question. Let's do it. How many grafts did you have inserted in this surgery? Second, have you have an opinion on Hattingen Clinic in the Swiss with Dr. Sever? Well, I'll start from the second one. Hattingen is top notch. I absolutely love Dr. Sever. Big fan. I really like his mindset, the way he's approaching surgery and everything else. Amazing guy. Can't say anything bad. They look at their YouTube channel, how they're showing the results, zooming in into like properly into hairlines, angle. Like, what else do you want? I mean, why? I don't know. Sometimes I don't understand why people even asking this question. Like, it's all there. It's maybe it's good to kind of sometimes to learn what to look for when you're looking at the hair transplant results, because some people like, oh, they just see there was no hair, now there is hair. Yeah, it must be good. Not quite. And to answer the first question, how many grafts did I have this surgery? I actually do not remember exactly. That being said, I have somewhere picture, I believe. Hold on. I need to go on the email. I have somewhere the numbers. I do not remember where I put them. That's why I never discussed it quite a bit. 1 second, let me try statistics. Is this the oop? No, that's not this. It was something like 1,200 grafts. Give me uno seconda, por favor. Okay, not this. Oh, okay, got it. Let me download this. There you go. Let me just put it on the screen. There you go. So these are the grafts from a surgery. So hold on, is that correct? Grafts 1,800. Oh, okay, that's all together. Okay, all surgeries. Hold on, let me. Okay, there you go. 1,239. So that's the so that was the file, basically has all of the numbers all together. So yeah, that's been extracted in 8 rounds, extracted and implanted, and in total was 1,239 grafts, 3,356 hairs. So the ratio was 2.71, which is pretty freaking high, as you expect from my amazing donor. Anyways, so yeah, I do not see any outline of, it doesn't say here which area has been implanted, but yeah, 1,200 grafts. So that brings me to, how many now I have? 6,500, 7,700 something, 7,800 grafts, give or take. Woo! That's pretty big amount of grafts. Obviously not as close as some other people like from Dr. Zarev, so yeah, apologies I couldn't. I don't need this many, so that's why we've been, making fun with Dr. Ferreira. All right, so hopefully that answers your question and we can go back into it. And I'm sorry that it took so long. The chat is on the screen and I'm just too excited looking at my own pictures. Like I said, I didn't really analyze myself. So let's skip through it a bit quicker. I think this is something people wanted to see how I look with the, you know, short hair. And what do you think? I think it looks actually pretty decent from the front. You can see a little bit, it's obviously not as dense as, you know, as it could have been from the top view especially. So yeah, we can see a little bit of thin spots, weak spots here and there, and mostly the crown. So yeah, the crown again has quite a bit of hairs, but it's just, the density is not there. But overall, yeah, still see the outline of the Norwood 5A, because obviously the donor is just way too thick and it stands out. But that being said, because it's illusion of density, once the hair grows out, it looks much better. It creates this illusion of density with more coverage. So yeah. Oh, here it looks so thin here just because the hair is growing this direction. But yeah, and there you go. Look at this. Looks super thin here, and now so much more hair. And as you see, he marked basically the areas where, yeah, it's a bit thinner. Temple peaks. Okay, let's skip that. Made the donor. What the hell? Like, sometimes I really look at it and think, how is this even possible? Yeah, there you go. So from the top, that's probably the most realistic kind of, in terms of how many grafts and how thick or thin they are. And yeah, the crown is lacking quite substantially. So these two areas. And that's what he implanted. Yes. There you go. That's how it looks shaved. Looks nice. Not gonna lie. I remember when he shaved during the surgery, all the way down, I looked in the mirror, I was like, you know what? Shall I just go home? It was looking pretty good. Of course, since we already were doing it, but yeah, pretty good density. But I think on my previous video, someone asked, why do we need to shave it and stuff like that. There you go. Perfect example. You see gaps much better in between here when it's shaved down. When it's not shaved, you cannot really see as good, basically. So that's, you know, helps the surgeon to see where to implant more. And also, even this area looks pretty thick. But on another side, when the hair is longer, it looks like it's lacking a little bit. So that's why it's good to have a perspective with the longer hair and then also with the shorter hair. So to really have a very good visual, you know, outlook of the whole area and basically what has to be done. Yeah, temple peaks are a bit blurred here. Yeah, the direction I mentioned earlier. So look how the hair is growing. Here is kind of growing down, and as we're moving forward, well, actually, okay, that's a bit too low maybe, but when you go looking higher here, it's kind of starts growing towards the front a little bit, and that's the transition. So maybe at this angle, it's kind of everything looks like it's growing down, but it's very difficult to make it like this particular area essentially. But yeah, it's pretty flat, and they're growing kind of, they're all following very good direction, which I'm pretty happy. Yeah, the temple peaks like super flat and properly down. You see, quite a bit gaps. Now I wonder, maybe this one actually looks much better, so many more hairs, but maybe this one, maybe some of the graft didn't take from the pre-surgery. It looks quite thin here. Anyways. And the donor area. There you go. Someone wanted to see the grafts and the extractions. There you go. White as it gets. So unfortunately, if you're gonna shave your head, I personally cannot get away with it because they're gonna be quite obvious. Even the top looks pretty good. The sides are way too obvious. And that's the scar I was mentioning that I had from childhood. So this one, there is a bigger one here, and there is some more on the top over there. Sorry, just over here. Quite big scar, and this scar, I had it since I was like, I don't know, 8, 9, something like that. And it looks exactly the same, like surrounding extraction, you know, extractions. The same kind of color, and it's very slightly raised. It stands out definitely. So that's just unfortunately on my side. That's my downside. I've got a great donor, but my downside is that the scars are, you know, I'm not healing really well, so the scars are pretty obvious. And plus, just because, like Dr. Freire mentioned, there is a lot of hair in between, it makes it even more obvious. If there would be less hair, it would be a bit less obvious. But yeah, still quite a bit of grafts to go about, in case you wanted. Yep, that's the crown, surgical area. Oh, that okay. So there you go. We're going into the implantation. So the hairline. Yep, nothing really been done. What's this? The extraction or is it implantation? Yeah, it's very barely touched the hairline, just few sprinkle here and there. It's just mostly focused on this sides essentially. There you go, can kind of see. So a bit more into this area where the side part is, and a little bit on that side because it was a bit thinner there as well. Pretty much nothing in the middle, really. Oh, there is actually nothing in the middle. Fine by me. I mean, it was pretty good already, and obviously the crown. So yeah, not that much. I was actually surprised. The graft count was 1,200 because that doesn't look really a lot. Okay, yeah, a little bit in the temple peaks, not that crazy. Yeah, someone was saying the extractions are pretty big. They look pretty freaking small to me. Anyways. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's interesting a bit. So hopefully this now gonna structure a bit more and gonna give a bit more of a yeah, structure. Oh, here as well a bit more been implanted. So hopefully once it grows it's gonna be a bit better. And yeah, some more in the bottom of the nape. So I assume he was using these grafts probably for here, for these areas, and obviously the very front of the hairline, just the finer ones. That's the crown. That's not a very good picture. Yeah, there you go. So that's the crown. We can't really see much the angles and the directions. You can kind of see a little bit something is going on, but it's very difficult to say. Here, kind of more visible, but this the wall is not, unfortunately. Oh, and that's it. That's the last picture. Okay, so yeah, there you go. That's how everything is. 1,260 something, whatever grafts. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Did I have to do it? Maybe I should avoid it. Fun fact, both my brother have gone bald on top and have pinned out. I've been on Proscar for years, which I believe saved my hair. Started low dose minoxidil last year to thicken up. Have full head of hair. RE455. I am so freaking jealous. Good luck with your hair moving forward, and congrats. I could have been in the same place if I would take finasteride, because I've been on it for, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 years. I don't even know how long, but essentially I didn't see any progression of hair loss at all. It kind of stopped in a way. Well, at least I hope it did. But there is no substantial hair loss, if any, happening. So I can only assume if I would start earlier, potentially was when I was normal too, it's very possible I would just save it, you know, the hair. So yeah, unfortunately I had to do all this transplant, spend all this money, time and effort, but here we are. That's my second chance. I'm happy about it. Great to have you back, Rolandas. From what I remember, your crafts were described as short by Dr. Bruno. Is that so? Did he measure your scalp thickness? Actually, yeah, I remember he was saying it. They are short. What's the... I don't see any particular, you know, bad thing about it. If you know how to implant, what's like the depth and stuff like that. Yeah, it's no... I mean, maybe there is a significant impact place when it comes to doing the transplant, but again, I'm not aware of it. What advice do you have for those that want a hair transplant for Dr. Ferreira, given that his wait list is so long? I mean, what advice do you want me to give? If you want to get it done with him and you set in stone, nothing really much you can do except wait. I mean, I don't know what really you want me to say. There is no shortcuts. I mean, even I had to wait as well. So he initially proposed to me back last year at some point, and it was just like a opening essentially, and I took it. So yeah, that's that. I would have waited as well. I don't know how long is it, 1 or 2 years now. Yeah, but that being said, as much as I love Dr. Ferreira and his work, he's done a fantastic, phenomenal job. There is not the only amazing surgeon on this planet. There's so many good doctors. You just, don't focus on one, unless you like I said, if you really want to go, just do it. It's a no-brainer. That's fine. But I'm sure you can find so many other doctors that are just as good. The only thing you have to look for is their artistic view, basically, because every doctor gonna have slightly different eye perspective on how to rebuild the hairline and, you know, how to do extractions and all of the stuff. So if you're gonna start analyzing little details on, you're gonna start seeing a little differences here and there, but it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just different. And that's why I'm always saying you have to find the doctor that puts up the work that you personally like. For example, some of them gonna do bigger density, some of them gonna smaller density, some of them gonna implant hairline. I think it's the best example I can give is, which stands out, is what was it called? Doctor. I just had it in my head and it just left my head. Oh, there you go. So Dr. De Freitas in Spain, I believe he is. Amazing doctor, top notch. His results are wow. It's like second to none. But me being nitpicky, when you look closer, the way he's structuring the hairline, for example, he really likes to do kind of jagged, staggering hairline, which is fine. But to my eye, it's a little too, how to say, it's too repetitive, if it makes sense. Actually, as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's just bring it and make it as a discussion, probably. Not to say that I dislike his work and he's a bad doctor. He's an amazing doctor. It's just a perspective-wise, how, yeah, basically what to look for essentially, and decide for yourself whether you like it or not. Rafael De Freitas is not posting his Instagram anything, is he? Where we can find his results now? Probably Hair Restoration Network forum. He has like a ton of cases in there, of course. Shout out to Melvin, amazing forum. Let's see. Oh, hold on, sorry, I should have changed this. Okay, there you go. So I'm just on the forum, just picked some random case. Yeah, there you go. So what I would nitpick is his implantations in the very front of the hairline are a little bit in rows, if it makes sense. Not enough micro irregularities. Well, it's not a really good quality picture, but the hairline doesn't really show much. Yeah, look, you can kind of see a little bit. But that being said, because he's picking the right hair and implanting in the right angle, in the right place, he's doing everything the right way. The results look pretty natural at the end. Let's see if there is any other results. Oh, okay, that's not really. That's fine. Okay, that's way too early to see. Is there any further update? Okay, that's too early. Yeah, that's too early. That's not a good case. But anyways, the point is that the way he's particularly doing it, I would like it to be a bit done differently, and I prefer the way Dr. Ferrer is doing. But again, like I said, overall results are usually amazing. So, you know, take it from that what you will. A graph distribution according to area. I hope, if you're asking about my personal one, I do not know, unfortunately, how many grafts were implanted where. So sorry, cannot really answer that. A Dr. Zulyaman, any thoughts? Let's just say it's enough from me. Anyone know whatever happened to Dr. Juan Couto? I used to see his YouTube videos a few weeks back with insane results. What happened? Why? He's not posting any videos anymore? This guy was, yeah, also just freaking machine. Let's see, FUE experts. Oh yeah, look, the latest video has been posted. Hold on, let me just show this as well. The latest video has been posted, what, a year ago? Right, what happened? Well, probably he got tired. I mean, this guy has been always so freaking busy. He was like booked in like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, something stupid like that, something ridiculous. And, you know, I can't blame him. I mean,
he's like such a top-notch doctor. Look at his results. He's making them super fake, nice, natural, like implant extractions. Like just amazing doctor. Again, probably one of the another examples of why you shouldn't just focus on one doctor. There's so many of them. So yeah, maybe he's just, you know, why does he need to keep posting these videos? He's so busy anyways. He managed 70,000 subscribers. Yeah, and he's posted a lot of videos. Does it show us how many videos? No. Oldest 10 years ago. Woo! No, yeah. So, you know, probably that's why I haven't heard anything that he stopped doing surgeries or anything like that. So probably he's fine. But worth asking probably their clinic. Just, yeah, get in touch with them. I remember when I was doing my research, I asked them if there is any openings. They said there is a 2 years for consultation and then another 3 years for the surgery. I was like, okay, no, thank you. Okay, shoot your questions, guys, because unfortunately I don't think I can go through this chat. It's just wow, it's really amazing. I didn't realize there's gonna be so many questions. But yeah, shoot them questions right now and I will try to answer them. Bro, why there are so many bumps on hairline after hair transplant? Man, so you're talking about myself? Are you talking about my hairline? Bro, why there are so many bumps on the hairline after bumps? Can you just answer quickly? Is it about my hair transplant or someone else? I can review it, I guess. And while we're waiting on that answer, another question. What is your opinion on microneedling to get some growth? Actually, I've done myself microneedling. I personally think it's not a bad thing necessarily. Well, some people are scared that it might cause some trauma or like, how is it called? Some scarring underneath the skin, basically. But just there's thousands and thousands of people been microneedling for years and everything seems fine. I've done microneedling myself for, I think, 3 years, something like that. With just a roller, basically, 1.5 millimeters, quite deep. Well, it's on the high end, and I've been fine. I know I had 3 hair transplants now, and if everything was growing, doesn't look like there is any underlying scarring or anything like that. So I think it's fine, but I wouldn't use it on its own. I think it's pretty useless but if you're using topical minoxidil, for example, I see why not. I think it's definitely a good thing to add into your arsenal if you're using topical minoxidil. It's just, you know, it can enhance slightly. Some people even claim they can go as far as to claim that if you're not responder of minoxidil, you become a responder if you start microneedling. I don't necessarily think it's true, but it definitely can enhance just because it can penetrate a bit deeper, essentially, just because of the scars, and that's somewhat of a substitute to oral minoxidil because then it will go to your bloodstream. So yeah. Okay, so that was not about my transplant. Okay, what was it now? Not yours. Oh, okay. So I assume you were talking about that guy from the forum. Well, the bumps can appear if if someone is when they're implanting the grafts, they're not placing them deep enough. So they are placing them basically slightly raised, and that becomes kind of bumpy. But it was not really that bad because it probably was a bit too early to judge, because in the beginning it can look a bit raw and uneven for a lot of people. So I wouldn't really worry too much unless this looks bumpy like this after like a year. So it can be two things. It can be bumpy, or it can be like little indentation, like looking like this like a golf ball essentially, like this little tiny crater. So it makes sense. So that's essentially that they implanted not in the correct depth. Oh, Mordecai's big zip cough. Hey brother, how you doing, Mordy? You right? Long time no see. Hey, okay guys, that's a perfect time right now to shoot your questions, so go at it. Show everything what you got at me. Rolandas, I have the same hair caliper and texture as you. What would be better for a slick back haircut with our hair type? Gel or pomade? I'm experimenting with gel, but it's kind of messy. Maybe well, so first of all, I haven't experimented much that just shows that I really don't care. But I've tried some products, and it really depends. Yeah, the product, the choice of product is extremely important. I don't like gel, first of all. It's just, I feel like it just becomes hard and everything. I don't think it looks good, and it's definitely not good for your hair. You should pick up some products that have some like a leave-in conditioners in it, so it looks nice and like healthy, and actually it feels healthy. I think there is this brand that's from one of these YouTubers. I think Blue Man is called or something like that. So I've tried probably 2 or 3 products. They're a bit more expensive compared to others, but they are definitely a good quality. I've had, I think, 3, I believe, or 4 different types, and I think 2 of them work particularly well for me, and another 2 didn't. Let me find now Amazon. Let me just find this product. Which hold on, let me just let's see. So there you go. I've used the original one, not a fan. It just doesn't really work with my hair. I haven't tried this. I wanted to try this for a more slick back, 5th sample, so that might work. I've tried the hybrid after my first transplant, and it has very, very little hold, but it works really well with someone with a very thin hair, because it's just enough not to like make it, you know, ugly and hard and everything like that. And I've tried, by the way, this one, uppercuts. It's again very low hold, but it's very good for a very fine hair. But I think if you have a lot of hair, it's not going to be enough. Oh, that's it. It's not enough. No more products. There's some other things. There was like with the green bottle. For some reason they don't show it here. Anyways, oop. What happened? Sorry. Anyways, but there was another one. With the green bottle, I don't remember exactly how it's called. I've tried that one. I think that was the best. It's just enough hold, but it's not hardening it and stuff like that. So you should try that one. Or as I said, that 5th sample, I think it might be great for the slick back. But you need to have longer hair essentially to make it work. Cliff, guys, I can't get Lonitin, so I need another minoxidil brand. Yes, I've heard actually there is a shortage of Lonitin. It's very difficult to get it. I recently I got it like about half a year ago. That was my recent supply. I got it in UK from Dr. Raghu Reddy. So he prescribed me, and he's working with the pharmacy. He managed to get it, well, to send it to me, Lonitin, although I think he's been instructed not to specifically give Lonitin just because there is a shortage and everyone wants Lonitin. It's probably I've been a bit, probably a little bit because of me, because I've done this video a couple of years ago and talking about, you know, my experience, and then I said who to go to get the Lonitin brand, and after that he's been struggling. Sorry, Dr. Reddy, if you're watching this, by the way. But yeah, other brand, just generic. So for example, when I was now in Portugal, I asked Dr. if he can prescribe me Lonitin. Hold on. Let me just. So he said he can prescribe me this oral minoxidil, but he cannot give me Lonitin because apparently they don't even have it in Portugal, Lonitin, which is a bit weird. So he said whenever he's prescribing, it's just a generic brand from the pharmacies, and everyone's taking it. He said he's giving to a lot of patients, and it seems fine. It seems to work. So my biggest suggestions whenever. You try a brand, but try to stick with the same brand. So that goes the same for the finasteride. You don't have to go for Propecia. There's plenty of generics that it's probably fine, but try not to switch between generics, because there is so by law they are not so they allowed not to keep 100% exactly the same formula. They can switch a little bit the API, which is the active pharmaceutical ingredient. And it can have the variation, so how much of that actual oral minoxidil, how much is the filler, and other things like that. And believe it or not, even there is some people saying on forums, essentially, there is no study done, but some people experience side effects on, for example, on generic, and when they switch to Propecia, no side effects at all. It's the same goes even other way around. I've seen some people saying that other way, they've been on Propecia, they had side effects, they switched to generic, and it was fine. So you know, it's this little tiny amount that they can, you know, switch. Sometimes can, you know, play a role in the side effect profile. Again, it's no study. I'm just saying what I've heard or what I've seen people saying online. But from what I understand, that's been the case for many years now, especially when it comes to finasteride. So I can only assume it can be the same with the oral minoxidil. So it's always good just to find a brand. If it works, just stick to it. Don't change anything and you'll be fine. Not available where I live, and I was able to find it in Spain either where I had my transplant. Yeah, that might be another option. Just if you have some doctor, like for example, transplant doctor in another country, just go there once in 6 months or whatever. Just buy a stack, come back. That's it. Not medical advice, by the way. I like that this chat became just people just chatting and, you know, helping each other. This is it's so great to see, because the biggest thing why I started this channel is to give back to the community, because when I was researching, I couldn't find, like, it was very difficult to find certain information, and everything was like all over the place. I had to spend hours and hours and hours to kind of on research. Well, when I did my videos, it's just everything in one place, and I actually challenge you. Just go on my channel, whatever you think, you have a question, go for it, like type it. There is a chance I covered it. Maybe not directly with the whole video, but in other videos going through this. Nolont in Portugal, like Bruno Ferreira, prescribed me generic, started at 1.25, then 2.5, and started 5 mg 1 month ago. No side effects. Well done, Eduardo. By the way, you had a transplant with him. Nice. Yeah, that's exactly what he told me. And actually, he said in the previous interview that he is going pretty aggressive, going straight to 5 mg. He was asking me, like, for the last, like, 3 years, pretty much. So, do you want to increase to 5 mg, maybe? Like, why? I'm fine. So, oh, this is an interesting one. If there is no more questions, I will ask you guys. So, since I've been away for nearly like over a year, I still been lurking in the industry as I always do. As you know me, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to transplants and hair loss. But I wasn't on top of it. Therefore, there is a very high chance I missed something. So, let me know what happened in the last 1.5 years. Is there anything interesting in this industry happening? For example, any news on the cloning, any news on other treatments? I've heard Kintor has been releasing their drugs already. Some of them available through Amazon. Believe it or not, maybe it's something I should try. Although I'm not going to be a really good guinea pig, unfortunately, because I already have this hair and transplant. It's not a good place to kind of see the before and after, or the efficacy essentially. But yeah, I've seen there was some bullshit happening with the clinics and stuff like that. I've seen some other doctors emerging who are going for a mega sessions just like Dr. Zarev, which I believe it's pretty good actually. I really like to see this. It's a very different approach than some other doctors are taking. So yeah. Eugenics. Do you think the only difference between Zarev and normal surgeons is that he extracts outside the safe donor zone? Well, yes and no. A lot of doctors extracting from outside the safe zone. Dr. Ferreira does it as well. If you look at my extraction pattern, it was like very wide area. Basically, he is capturing the whole donor area. And I personally think that's the way to go about it as well, because you can kind of see at some point that whether this area will miniaturize or not. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be 100%. Some of it will miniaturize, you know, in the future, but it's not going to be that big of a difference. So usually the Norwood pattern at least in my case, is very, very clear. Norwood 5, the worst absolute case scenario can go to Norwood 6, and he extracted, in my case, within that Norwood 6 donor. So I don't see the reason extracting only in Norwood 7 donor area, because it's, you know, might as well just use more grafts and make it a bit more homogeneous, better looking donor overall. So yeah, going back to Dr. Zarev, that's what he does, but also he is utilizing very small punches, and he's developed his own extraction tool, which is essentially just a suction. I'm not sure exactly what's so specific. He's obviously not talking about it, but I know he started well, he was planning to start a manufacturer to wider, you know, to other doctors to buy it and use it as well. So maybe there's any role in it, in his success, but I think he's just very meticulous. He's doing a lot of calculations. I think that's the biggest reason of his success with a lot of grafts. So he sits down, he's planning for like hours, for like 2-3 hours. He's making all the calculations, how many grafts in each area there is, how many grafts he can extract, because you can extract up to 50% of grafts in surrounding area. As long as you're extracting them correctly, as of you leaving just enough around it to make it overall donor looking good and not over harvested, then you can get away with extracting so many grafts. And that's why he, you know, he's basically doing all these calculations, he's marking them always, all around, and just he goes and, you know, goes for it, essentially. He's maybe a bit too aggressive to my liking to do in one surgery like 6,000-7,000 grafts. Sometimes he's doing it like 5,000 grafts in day one. This is like mind-blowing to me. I cannot even understand how he can do it so quickly. Became a master, obviously, but hey, look, the results speak for themselves. Donors are not over-harvested. Survival is there. I mean, good for him. This is just, you know, another best thing basically for all of us. For the hell of sufferers, if everyone will start doing like that and we can get away with it, why not? Less surgeries you have to do and you're gonna get your like end result sooner, essentially. Opinion on Pitella. So Dr. Pitella is another one that is very similar to Dr. Zarev, that he's doing these huge sessions. Like I mentioned briefly, I like that more doctors do this because it shows that they're not sitting inside their box, essentially, like with this very narrow kind of thinking that, okay, that's the safe zone. There is even some studies saying that there is no really safe zone. The hair can miniaturize all around, not just in this. So this is very outdated, in my opinion, and a lot of people still following this, a lot of doctors. So yeah, but I think, like I said, extracting from wider area, it's beneficial. Obviously, it should be assessed case by case. Not everyone can do it. Essentially, can be what's the word I'm looking for? Anyways, can be a good patient for it. But if analyzed properly, if checked under the microscopes, all the areas, you know, above and beyond the safe donor area, and if there is no active miniaturization, what's stopping you? Especially if the patient is on finasteride, and it seems like the hair loss stopped for like, you know, quite some time. I don't see a reason why not. That's, again, I'm not a doctor. What do I know? This is just my opinion. That's what I've seen and that's what I think looking at all these doctors and the surgeons, essentially. So yeah, Dr. Pitella, yeah, great. I like him. Any other questions? Aman, 5,000 grafts in one session or 2,500 grafts in 2 sessions. What's your view? I personally believe it's better to do split into 2 sessions. Because look, I guess we have to define what do you mean by session. Session is just 1 day, or session is 1 and 2 days, and that's 1 session. If we're talking about 1 session is 1 day, then I would suggest to split. Well, I would think that's the best way to go about it, and that's what Dr. Ferrer is doing. That's why I went there, and that's what I've done. Just because, you know, the doctor doesn't have to rush, so he can spend more time on choosing the right angle to implant, if it's implanter pen, or to extract, and in general, it's just much easier work. Because look, at the end of the day, we are all human beings. The doctors, even the best in the world, they're still human beings. They will, and they do have mistakes and errors and stuff like that. You know, it happens. So the more relaxed atmosphere is for the doctor, the more comfortable he's doing surgery, the better I see, you know, your results gonna be, essentially. And that's what you should want. Not try to force the doctor to do for me this amount of grafts or do for me this. Just listen to what your doctor thinks is best for you, and probably that's what you should. Maybe you can influence a little bit, like the hairline design or whatnot, but I think generally speaking, whatever your doctor suggests, you should really go for it, instead of just pushing your own ideas, because he probably knows better. And at the end of the day, obviously, you're a customer. If, you know, he's not gonna do what you want, you might not be a customer anymore. So that's again, that separates from a good and bad doctors, but and that's another reason why you should carefully choose your doctor. You need to be kind of on the same page with the doctor. You should think like the way he's doing the surgery, that's the way you want your surgery to be done, and stuff like that. So yeah. Bro, what are the solution in which graft must be placed for highest survivability? Survivability, anyway. Well, I think they're just using normal saline. I mean, I'm sure there is, and I'm sure that I know for a fact there are studies done saying that, you know, you adding into the saline various things can increase, you know, the survival rate. But again, for example, Dr. Pereira is using plain saline. Works just fine, surviving just fine. So I personally I think it's just a hype. I don't think there is too much. Maybe there will be like 1% better survival, 0.5%. I don't know. So it's ultimately probably gonna, you know, be deciding factor for the doctor himself if he wants to invest into all, because it's obviously gonna have an extra cost all to adding all of these extra things for the best possible results. So there might be like solutions that you're gonna mix, and that's gonna be like the best possible survival ever available currently on the market. But maybe cost benefit, if you do the cost benefit analysis, might not be worth it. Again, I think just plain saline from my research is perfectly fine. So again, I wouldn't really overthink it. There you go. Rocket Winter Master Ren. Is spreading some good advice. Good job. Look for a case that is similar to you and go with a photo of that. There you go. That's a good advice. Just find the cases that are very similar to yours in specific doctors. They all have very similar cases. We're not, as much as we like to believe, we're not that unique, unfortunately. So yeah, just find them and analyze. Look how they're doing this surgeries, and you know, you're gonna find the doctor that you personally like. Would you agree that Dr. Pereira is also a donor management wizard like Dr. Zarev is, meaning he can get more grafts by using the extended donor array in a smart way? 100% yes, Sergey. And that's why he said that he can extract up to 13,000 grafts, which in my opinion is just outrageous. I don't think personally my donor gonna look great after 13,000 grafts, but again, what do I know? This is a simple math. He's looking at the math. 50% of my donor equals 13,000 grafts. If you extract carefully, there you go. Maybe you're gonna extract 11,000, so you're gonna leave again. It all comes to the same thing. If you're gonna do it carefully, strategically, which takes time, and each subsequent the transplant, for example, in my case, I already had over 7,000 grafts. If I would go for another 1,000 or 2,000 grafts, the doctor would need to spend more time to pick the right graft to extract. So therefore, the next transplant, he probably can do like, you know, 1,000 grafts a day at best, just because he's gonna take some time. Unless he doesn't care, he's just gonna go all in, and then the donor gonna look like a mess, obviously. So, you know, it's all about this. It's all about paying attention, just being careful with extraction and stuff like that. Would you consider doctors like Zarev and Pitella still a good choice for lesser Norwoods like 4 and 5? Lesser Norwood 5. Come on, man. I've been Norwood 5. That's nothing less than a disaster. Anyways, perhaps, I mean, look, his biggest selling point, these two doctors, are that they doing massive cases. They can move a lot of grafts in one surgery. That's their biggest selling point. However, a number 2 selling point is, in my opinion, that they are very good at donor management. So that is probably second most important thing, in my opinion. The first, obviously, you know, is the design and implantation pattern and the way they're implanting the grafts. And then obviously after that goes the donor management. So even if it's 1,000 grafts, you want someone who knows how to extract properly, leaving the spaces. So the donor management, in my opinion, is very important. So, but also you need to look at their personal artistic view. How do you like personally their hairlines, how they're recreating them, how they're implanting the grafts and stuff like that. If you like it, if you're a fan, if you would like to have the same similar result to what other people had that went to this doctor, then go for it. That's how I look at it. But if you see some results, and then you think to yourself, no, I think here it's a little bit off in this area. Maybe he should have done a bit better in that place. Maybe you should take it seriously, this kind of sign to yourself that maybe there is not everything you agree with or like it. Therefore, you should maybe find another surgeon who just everything clicks. You know what I mean? So that's how I think you should look at it. Rolandas, can you talk about how important donor extraction method is? A lot of clinics fuck it up. Donor extraction methods. Well, there's two methods. There is FUT and FUE. I guess it doesn't, you know, they both have pros and cons. But when you, I mean, when you're talking about the way you extract things, so again, I already kind of mentioned this, that pattern, extraction pattern, you have to make sure you're leaving space there, like there is enough hair in between the empty spaces, basically. So when it grows back, it grows homogeneous, i.e. it doesn't, like, there is no more graft extracted at the top and less graft extracted at the bottom, and so this area gonna look thicker, this is gonna look a bit thinner after everything grows. Everything has to look even. So this is the end result, basically. Everything has to look even, and whatever it is that's involved in it, which is proper analysis, the doctor has to look through, you know, donor carefully. He has to pass his the hair. He has to go with the microscope in it. He has to outline until where he can extract maximum, again, by looking whether there is miniaturization, for example, here all the way at the top. If there is miniaturization, therefore he cannot go it, he has to go a bit lower, and therefore he has to keep this in mind, how many graft he can extract through here before it becomes visible to naked eye, the difference in density. Because the hair transplant is just you taking some hairs and implanting somewhere else. So the hairs where you took them from, they're not growing there, leaving an empty space. And the more empty spaces there are, the more visual, the less visually gonna look like a dense, you know, you're gonna look a bit thinner. So if you extract evenly all around you're gonna be slightly less density, and it will look even, it will look great. It's not gonna look like there's something has been done. However, if you're gonna, from narrow strip, right in the middle, you're gonna extract like a 10,000 grafts, and around, you're not gonna do anything. It gonna stand out. The difference in the density gonna be very, you know, huge. And that's obviously not a good thing. And that's why I believe you need to go all around the donor where you can, as much as you can, and extract evenly. And I think that's the most important, you know, when it comes to extractions. And that's one of the things you should look for when you're trying to, you know, researching for a hair transplant. Look how they're extracting. Look how their pattern. Are they going low enough, or are they going too low, or they're going high enough, or they're going too high? It's not necessarily a bad thing if they're going very high or very low. It all depends the case by case basis. If there is if there is zero miniaturization and the area looks strong, the person is, you know, not 20 years old and he's been on like finasteride for quite some time now, maybe there is no reason not to go high. But because some people I've noticed in the community, they just have very like narrow-minded view that, oh, he went in outside the safe donor zone, therefore it's a bad doctor, or he shouldn't be doing it. To me, it's, you know, every case is different. Look, what a safe donor area is for a Norwood 2. Imagine a guy, 60-year-old, Norwood 2. So what, does it mean you can extract only from here? No, technically speaking, if he's Norwood 2, everything else is perfect, it's just a little corners here. You can extract from all around. Everything is safe. So how does it make sense for the safe donor area just here? So, which means each case is gonna be different. So you need to look case by case basis, essentially. So that's why one of the most important things is proper analysis of your donor area through the microscope, not just visually, oh, it looks like okay here. No, all the things considered, all the facts, and that's, you know, how the basing. Anyways, yeah, just that's my kind of take on donor management. Ooh, I think there's only 2 people asking questions, which is great. I was one of them. I remember when I started researching, I was just spamming everyone questions like that. I was that hungry, so good for you. I look at it as a positive. Another question, man. Bro, how much PRP session you need after a hair transplant? My clinic suggested me to do 5 PRP in 1 year. Is that okay? Well, I'll throw it back at you. How many PRP sessions do you think I had after my 3 transplants? Take a guess. 0. I had 0 PRPs. I mean, why? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I don't know, you tell me. All I'm gonna say is it's not essential. It's not necessary. Yes, there might be some benefits if the PRP again is done correctly. There's so many ways to do a PRP, and not every PRP, as Spencer says, not all the PRP is created equal, but there is, I was listening recently to Dr. Ferreira and Dr. Vikram Jayaprakash interview, where they were discussing that Dr. Ferreira started doing PRP recently, and it's even different machine can create a different, different PRP. Essentially, it can be platelet rich, can be platelet poor. So it's all the, you're gonna have a different amount of platelets. Also, each person can have a different amount of platelets. Therefore, it's gonna work differently. For some people, it's gonna work better than for the others. So, look, and the ultimate for me personally, PRP is usually costing quite a bit of money. So if you, on the grand scheme of things, the amount of efficacy you can get from PRP versus the amount of money you have to spend to get it, to me, is just stupid. You can buy finasteride for dirt cheap, even minoxidil as well, finasteride, minoxidil, and they work at 20 times better than PRP, and they're 20 times cheaper. So use these two, and then if you have spare money to waste, to throw, and you don't care about it, essentially, why not? If I would be rich, I would probably do it as well every month. Why not? If I have the time to do it, if I have the place to do it, if I have the money to do it, yeah, why not? It's not like, gonna make it worse. There can't be potential benefit, but but other than that, it just cost benefit analysis is just really, really bad. So yeah. Paul Smith says PRP is a waste of money. I don't want to say it's a waste of money. It can work, and some people works really good, but you just have to decide for yourself whether it might be a benefit for you personally. And again, the PRP should be not your first first thing to do. You should start from the proven treatments, finasteride, detach rate, minoxidil, things like that. Hey bro, thanks for all the work you do. Great to see you live. Thanks, KWRX. Okay, I wonder, can you hear now? Sorry, there is an ice cream truck. By the way, I live in the UK, and this is apparently happening. Welcome back to 19th century. Great help from watching your channel. Thanks a lot, Milan. You're welcome. This is the reason why I created it. So it's... Oh, I've been live how long? Quite a bit. What is the... 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Woo! Okay. I think I'll have to start wrapping up very soon. But that being said, keep dropping the comments. I'll try to answer as many as I can and to the best ability that I can. Cliff, Rolandas, what do you think of replacing thin 1 or 2 days per week with detach rate? I'm currently stable but looking for more. Well, first of all, I would say if you're stable, if it's not broken, why fix it? That's how I would look at it. That being said, if you're looking for more, i.e. there is a lot of hair that are quite miniaturized and you are hoping to bring them back, essentially to make it a bit thicker, as to avoid potential transplant or just to make you more sane, essentially, then maybe it's worth it. And yes, in terms of replacing it, the dose with instead of replacing the detach rate, yes, that's how I would personally do. If I would decide that I need a detach rate in my life to make my life better, I would, instead of 1 dose of in, for example, I'm taking finasteride Monday to Sunday, I would, instead of on Monday, I would take detach rate and then move on Tuesday to Sunday with finasteride. And I would do it probably for maybe a week. Then I would replace Monday and Wednesday, or I would probably do Monday and Thursday, just because the detach rate half-life is quite much longer than finasteride. So I would probably do Monday and Thursday to replace finasteride with detach rate. And then probably I will do maximum like 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I would still keep finasteride, because I don't think there is any much, well, there is a lot of studies on detach rate as well, but from what I remember, I don't think there is much more benefit taking it every day compared to like 2-3 times a week, just because of their long half-life essentially. So yeah, there is not much more gain, and at this point, maybe it's a good idea to even drop finasteride altogether. But again, it's a bit, I'm always a bit wary about starting new treatments and removing treatments, because if you've been doing well on finasteride, you can add dutasteride, it might be better, but when you on dutasteride and drop finasteride, I have a feeling that you might have not just a shock loss, but it might turn out in a bad way essentially. So be careful with it. Don't try to experiment too much, especially if you're doing well. That would be my biggest suggestion essentially. What I've seen some Spencer seemed to adhere to the idea of a safe donor area too strongly. Well, too many people, too many ideas. That's all I'm gonna say. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. So am I. I'm sure there are people and doctors even who know much more than I. But I'm entitled to my opinion. So are they. Rolandas, your donor post-extraction is symmetrical and mine looks like a nuclear bomb took off. God damn it. Well, thank you, first of all, but second, god damn it. That's not good. Is it that bad? There is a ways to fix it by implanting hair, so redistributing. Obviously, it's gonna be very specialized in case requiring specialized doctor who knows and who is doing it. But essentially, just look at a very basic kind of way at it. If there is more grafts taken from here and there is more grafts here, you can redistribute. You can take some more from here, implant them back here, and therefore homogenize look. And overall, it should look better. So obviously there is a thing that if you're implanting directly into the scar, it has less survival just because the scar tissue is not exactly the same as your normal skin tissue, is less vascular. Therefore, it's less chance to survive. But that being said, it's doable and it's surviving pretty well, in my opinion, if it's done correctly by a good doctor. So it's possible. I've seen, I think, what was there? So I think Dr. Jose Lorenzo in Spain, he probably has been doing this for way too long. Because a lot of patients, from Turkish botched transplants are going to him for a repair, and he's been doing so many repairs of the donors essentially by basically, homogenizing it. They can even sometimes use the beard grafts, but in my opinion, you should really focus on the redistributing your donor hair, because it's the same texture, it looks the same, it has the same growth cycles and stuff like that, rather than beard, because beard looks completely different. And it can stand out. I'm not a big fan of beard. And especially in these cases where every little helps and every little will stand out, you should be careful with it. Rolandas, check out Darling Butts for advice on finasteride. Well, I know Dr. Bhatti, I've been following him for years now. I was considering him for my own surgery as well. I'm not sure what's his latest advice on finasteride. Maybe you can enlighten us, because, I know he's pro finasteride. But he's also, I like him that he's also recognizing that there's dangers. Some people can experience side effects, and you should look at it seriously. And there's ways to mitigate it, different doses, and switching maybe generic to brand. I'm not gonna be this kind of guy that's just this like Kevin Mann. I love Kevin Mann, but I think he's going too far with side effects do not exist. I don't think that's exactly like this. It's a very small occurrence, but they are happening, and we should, acknowledge this. Yeah, and just deal with it as it comes, basically. But there is ways, yeah. If I were you, I would laser the transplant off. Do SMP, laser it off too, and finally whatever. Just my honest advice. Mate. Wow. Nice. Well, how you even come up with this nonsense? I'm not gonna lie, you had me in the first half. Oh, that's good. Detachment on oral minoxidil is the truth. Yeah, that's the holy grail of combinations. Is it possible to reconstruct over harvested donor area? Yes, well, I just mentioned this, absolutely. BHR Clinic does very good repairs. Yes, actually, Dr. Bisanga especially, he's been doing so many cases as well, so many repair cases. I think, to be honest, he's probably more famous with the repair cases than with the normal transplants, to be honest. A bit sad, but also great, I guess. I don't know, it's, yeah. Yeah, he's good. He's good at repairing transplants. What's your view on extraction when they damage so many grafts during extraction that are the best punch size for less graft damage? So the punch size, and again, Aman, you asking for like 50th question, and I love it. Well done. Yeah, it's very good to be curious. That's what helped me personally to do my research and be where I am currently. So just keep doing. Anyways, just went down of tangent. So yeah, what's the best extraction or punch size? It really depends on your case. It depends on your hair caliber. It depends how bundled your grafts are, and something that I've noticed nobody really is talking about it, which is a bit of a shame, to be honest. People tend to just brush, well, maybe I'm just a bit too technical, I'm a bit too much of a nerd, and I'm also a perfect case. My grafts, like for example, a perfect scenario, let's say 3 hair graft, will have 3 hairs growing from one hole. So one hole growing 3 hairs. This is such a funny way to show, but anyways, just for visualization, yeah. That's perfect case. From one little tiny hole, 3 hairs growing. That's the best case scenario. So in this case, you can have a very small punch, just enough to make it around the graft. But there are cases like me, where the grafts are not growing from one hole, 3 hairs. In my case, the grafts are going, and loads of them, like probably 70-80% of the grafts, they like that. They're growing in straight line. They like separated. So the root underneath is like that, and then the skin is here, and the grafts are like that, in one line. Four hair graft unit gonna be in one line like this. So you cannot take small punch. You have to have a bigger punch to extract this 4 hair graft. So even though my hair caliber is very thin, just the way the hairs are growing. Actually, let me pull this up just to show you a visual example. Bear with me. So what Dr. Ferreira was analyzing. Let's switch off the sounds. There you go. So that's the footage from my surgery, and if you look with the microscope, so for example here, first of all, this graft would be not good for extracting, because even that this is a 3 hair graft, even though it might look like it's a separate, in my case I know for a fact it's 3 hair graft because the way I just explained the growing. This hair is very thick, but these are thinner. It means, well, it's not exactly 100% correct, but more likely than not, they're miniaturizing. Therefore, it's not the best graft to transplant because it will miniaturize. Here, for example, is a good example. It's difficult to see, but it's either double or triple graft, and it's growing from one area. So that's perfect. This is what you want. This is what can make your extraction punch size essentially smaller. But for this graft, you would need a bit bigger punch. Let's see some more areas. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Again, Dr. Ferrer is pointing on the same thing. This one is, growing from one area. There you go. What was it? Here, they're a bit more spread. This is, again, probably one graft. There was some of them were very obvious. Here, it looks like a bunch of single grafts, but it's not. This is, well, it's very difficult to see from here, but it's probably just one big bundle of like a 4 or 5 grafts, whatever. Sometimes it can be very difficult to judge, and that's why it sometimes can be very easy to transect, because when you think it's triple graft, you take here, but apparently it was, under the skin, it was more hairs in there, and you just transect and you destroy it. And unfortunately, some areas like that, it's not gonna be perfect. So yeah, he's talking here something. Oh, that was a good one. There you go. Here. So you see this bundle and this, it's very likely that this is one bundle, again in my case, even though it looks like they're separate, and here is together. So this is just an example that sometimes the graft, also the punch size, can be influenced by your grafts, essentially, how they look, how they grow. So again, don't overanalyze don't overanalyze it. You have to really trust your doctor, the one you choose, that he knows what he's doing. So yeah, but yeah, Sergey is right. 0.8 millimeter is the overall optimal punch size for most patients, and it's true. It's the most optimal just because it's not too big to make it stand out, but also it's not too small to potentially cause damage in cases like mine. And in cases like mine, Dr. Ferrer said that he used the highest punches he used was 0.85 millimeter, which is probably was used for like a big bundle of like quintuple 5, 6, or even 7 hair grafts. And yes, believe it or not, I had 7 hair grafts in my donor. I had some pictures from my second surgery somewhere. So yeah, in these cases, but he didn't go any lower. And I mean, look, maybe it's possible to have smaller punch in my case. Maybe it is. Maybe Dr. Ferrer was not comfortable to go for it. But also maybe he was right not to go for lower, because maybe he would, like I mentioned earlier, transect while trying to take it. So, you know, there are dangers using smaller ones. So it's ultimately, you know, up to the doctor and his kind of analysis and his opinions essentially. But I don't think you really have to go as small as possible, because there are gonna be risks involved. And then, you know, if you don't have much donor to begin with and you have to try to be careful with each graft, then maybe you should not focus on the punch size. How is the post-op follow-up with Dr. Ferreira in the coming months? Post-op operation follow-up. So the only follow-up from Dr. Ferreira is, well, I'm in different countries, so he just, his assistant sending me an email, like automatic email, basically after like, there was after, I think, 7 days and 2 weeks, and then I believe after 1 month, and I think maybe now they're gonna send an email after like 3 or 5 months, something like that, just asking for some pictures and if I have any questions and stuff like that. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty basic, to be honest. And but again, it's important to have this kind of follow-up. Although for me, already that's my 3rd transplant. I kind of know pretty much how it's gonna go. And by the way, I'm surprised nobody asked yet. Maybe they did in the beginning, but I haven't noticed. Take a guess how long I am currently after my 3rd transplant. Mark Jones, how many grafts for third transplant? I already answered this earlier in the live stream. You can go back, but it's 1,260, I believe, something like that. I've analyzed my pictures and stuff like that in the beginning, so feel free just to go back and check. Alexei, 50 per centimeter, so 50 grafts per centimeter is good density, or should I increase it? Well, first of all, you should not do it yourself. You cannot increase or decrease. Your transplant doctor will. And again, you should trust him. Well, you shouldn't be telling you implant here 65 grafts per centimeter square, no less. Well, because if you're gonna have this attitude, first of all, he probably not gonna take you as a patient. Second, if you start telling to the doctor something that he's not comfortable doing it, or he's not skilled enough doing it, it's very high chance that he might screw up or something gonna go wrong. So why? If your doctor doesn't do these grafts, maybe you should find another doctor who can do it. But also, you don't really have to go 50 grafts per centimeter square, not necessarily. It really depends on the many factors: hairline, the hair caliber, how thick your hair is, the bundles of the grafts and stuff like that. So it's, you know, it's not really that common. I think in my middle area, I had like 40 grafts in some areas per centimeter square, and it looks pretty freaking good. So can't complain really. So it really depends on each area. You cannot just 65 or 50 grafts all around. That's gonna be an overkill. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me answer Javier question before. Javier, Christian. When it comes to hair transplant, does hair grow back faster and naturally after 12 months? Does it grow faster? I don't think so. It grows the same way. Does it grow naturally? I don't know what it means exactly, naturally. I mean, the way the hair transplants are done, so they doing the transplant, they implanting the grafts, they're growing for the first 2 to 4 weeks. Then a lot of them will go into the telogen phase. They're gonna shed, they will stop growing, and the hair graft will not produce any more hair for the next about 100 days, roughly. It's gonna be different for each individual. So majority of people will lose about 80 to 90% of the transplanted hair in the first 1 or 2 months after the transplant, and they will have no new transplanted hair grow for the next 3 months. So up to month 4, usually I don't expect any changes at all. But then from month 5, that's when usually the hair starts to grow. Month 4, month 5, month 6 can be, it depends on each person. It can be sometimes even further. It starts to grow. So that's what they say. Usually the final result is about 12 months. But that being said, the final result, it's just mean that that's how it should be. The final result, that's how the doctor envisioned when he implanted. But the hair doesn't grow any different. As soon as it starts growing from month 4, that's the same way it's been growing in the donor. That's the same way it's growing right now. It's not necessarily. The only thing it might change is the hair might become a little softer, if it makes sense. Sometimes it might behave in a weird way that it can grow a bit wiry, or it can grow a bit weird. I wouldn't say weird direction, but sometimes it can be a little just one-off here and there. Just because it can, when, I think technically speaking, if you're going into very technical things, when you're implanting the hair, maybe you didn't implant deep enough, maybe you didn't implant at the correct angle, maybe something else has happened during implantation, maybe the graft got squished into the hole. If it's pre-made incisions, if you push them too hard, for example, it might change slightly the structure or whatever of the graft that it starts producing differently. But this, like, just being very technical, but for the most part, nothing should change, nothing should be any different. So yeah, hopefully that's very technical and a bit nerdy answer, but hopefully that helps. And going back to the ideas of how long I'm currently after my transplant. So silent watcher, 4 months, my bet. Shall we bet on it? Milan, 2.5 months. Silent control, 1.5 month. Menhash Ahmed, 5 weeks. Silent control, 24 hours. I can tell you straight away you lose the bets. 24 hours, come on, this length. Or maybe I cut it. Or maybe it's 1 year. Okay, since there is no more guesses, 4 months. Okay, interesting guesses. Very close. Who was the closest? Believe it or not, actually, let me check on the calendar. Okay, the closest one was, drum roll. Shall I play? I should have put some. I got some drum roll sound effects. I'm currently about 2 months. 2 months, give or take. Plus, actually, a little bit more than 2 months, about 2 to 3 days. So I had my transplant, I believe, 31st of May, something like that. So yeah. Oh, May. Hold on. June. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, there you go. You win. Silent control. Yes, you were kind of, well, also Milan was pretty close. Well done. It means you have a good eye on, you've been looking through a lot of cases and you see how quickly the hair is growing. Not necessarily after transplant, you can see in general how quickly the hair is growing and you can make a judgment. So I've had one haircut so far. I cut my donor only after 1 month. I think it was nearly 4 weeks, like 3.5 weeks. And now I'm currently at 2 months, so 8 weeks, and I'm gonna have another donor haircut in upcoming days. So yeah, that's roughly. So well done. You have a very good eye, and it means other people have to research more. Next transplant, next procedure in 5 years. I don't know. Mark Jones, what do you bet? Do you bet I need another transplant? Does it still feel surreal that you have a full head of hair? Kind of. If I think about it, it's great. But like I mentioned earlier, I don't really care, which can sound a bit worrying. When I didn't have hair, I was all about hair. Now that I have hair, I was like, yeah, whatever. It's funny, isn't it? It's like our human emotions are so weird sometimes. Yeah, no, I did, like, look, I wasn't even planning to do a 3rd transplant. I was perfectly happy to live the way I currently live. But like I said, just opportunity came along. I thought, why not? And also I wanted to come back to YouTube and do, videos because obviously love the subject. I'm all about this, and this industry I've seen just drive me nuts. It goes downhill even more. More scam artists popping up left and right. So yeah, I thought I have to come back, and I think that was a perfect opportunity. So there you go. All right, so another few more minutes. I'm gonna shut this live stream. It's been it's been already probably 2 hours. So it's been great. I can't believe that so many people still, after me being away for so long, are still in touch. It's great. It's great to have you back, guys, as my viewers, and it's great to be back. Yeah, let me read a couple more questions. Can you answer my question? Okay, let me try to find your question. I had a hair transplant 7 months ago, 5,200 grafts. I want to ask you about the crown area. How do I make it strong for the growth of transplanted area? So at this point, you cannot do anything to make it strong. Whatever has been done during the surgery, that's it. That's been done. Whatever is happening after the surgery, you have very little influence, unless, you can have influence on a bad way, like you can bump your head or whatever, and it's not gonna grow. But in terms of good influence, it's very little, if anything, you can do to make it. So it's the surgical success, in my opinion, depends, like over 90% depends on how well the surgeon did his job, essentially. That's it. There can be instances when you have things like, some conditions like lesion planopilaris that you can, like, basically you have a skin condition that prevents you from, the transplant to grow, but it's extremely rare. And, and in general speaking, putting like PRPs or starting the drugs, it's not really gonna make it better. It would, if it looks better, it means you would have been anyways this way. It's, it's all up to the surgeon. So yeah, at this point you cannot do really anything, but you should start finasteride minoxidil if you're not on it already. Really the only things that work. I remember somebody telling me that Rosarev claimed that using a very small punch actually improves graft survival. Like, you don't have too much blood, less tissue around the bulb or something. I'm skeptical. I don't want to say no, because obviously I'm always open to some ideas and suggestions. That being said, I probably were gonna be with you on this, Sergey, that I don't think it kind of makes sense. But again, what do we know? He's, at the end of the day, he's the man doing it. He's actually doing this. Maybe there is something to it. I would like to see some more kind of research on this, just to see if it's true or not. And hey, if that's the case, then it's only for the better for the whole industry. So, I think someone should actually invest some time and money into it and research more. I'm currently watching all your videos for researching for my own hair transplant. Oh, Finn! Finn DVHDHDUUUUU. Nice name, by the way. Anyways, yeah, I've seen that you've been watching all of my videos because you're commenting on all of them. Well done. I really admire your willingness to learn, because it really reminds me of myself. I was exactly like this, just obsessed, and I think it's a good thing, because you should take seriously surgery, you should take seriously research, because once it's done, game over, you cannot go back. So you better do it the right way, you better don't screw it up. So yeah, well done, keep researching. How to tell if you lost a graft? Is there always bleeding associated with it? Well, normally if you bump your head immediately after transplant and it starts bleeding, chances are the graft is dead. But other than that, it's very difficult to say. It's pretty much impossible. The other way to kind of look at it, it's anecdotal, but I personally seen lots of evidence. Some doctors, when they're doing pre-made incisions, and then they put the forceps, they put the grafts, usually in the lower clinics, when the technicians are doing it, they're pushing these grafts way too hard into the incision, or the incision is not made too deep, and they're pushing it and squishing it. And then when the person is shedding the hairs after 2 to 3, 4, 5 weeks after the transplant, they're shedding the hair sheds in a kind of J. Basically, the bottom is kind of like a hook. More, from my perspective, from what I've seen, usually this means that they push the graft too deep with the forceps. The graft had to kind of bent a little bit, and it's very unlikely this graft gonna produce any hairs because it's been damaged, or it's, you know, it had some trauma when it's been pushed. So every little trauma to the graft while it's outside the body can be detrimental. Therefore, that's why it has to be that, like, whoever is handling the grafts have to be super careful, not if this forceps, not to squish them too hard with the forceps, because if you have a graft and you squish them too hard with the forceps, you're gonna squish them out and that's it, it's dead. That's why some doctors like the DHI, because you just carefully put it and it stays there, so it kind of preserves the graft. But also there is another argument that, you know, you somehow putting it inside so that the mechanism that you like that you're putting inside, it can, you know, create some trauma as well to the graft. So anyways, but that's kind of the other way you can kind of look at it, but again, it's not concrete, so nothing much, sorry. Let me see. Your videos are inspirational. Thanks so much, Steven. That's the whole goal. Is scarring less prevalent in DHI compared to FUE? Well, funny question, and I'll tell you why. Let's start from basics, and I'll keep it short because I have to go. But what is DHI? What is FUE? DHI stands for direct hair implantation. FUE stands for follicular unit extraction. So implantation and extraction is a little bit different things. And I understand why people saying, because freaking clinics using for marketing, when they saying, oh, we do DHI and our hair transplant is DHI, not FUE, and they making it very misleading to people, and people who don't know any better, and they think that's different procedures. It's not. They're still using FUE to extract the grafts. There's only two extraction methods, FUE and FET. That's it. Either you take a strip or you take one by one. End of story. Nothing else. DHI is just implanting. So they are referring to implanter pens when they extract the grafts with the FUE, with a punch, manual punch, manual or motorized punch, one by one, and then they put in the implanter, implant. That's DHI. When they're saying FUE transplant, they refer to pre-made incisions. They make incisions and they, with the forceps, they put grafts. That's what normally they mean. So yeah, in both cases, more likely than not, it's going to be FUE. So yeah, there is no difference. The only difference in scarring is, like I mentioned earlier, is how you're extracting the grafts, whether you're carefully leaving enough space, and how big of a punch you're going to use. That's it. So yeah, please, I mean, it always boils my blood seeing this mixed up DHI and FUE, but also I recognize it's, you know, a patient, a person who is researching, he doesn't know any better, and he shouldn't know any better. It's freaking stupid clinics with their marketing who are just misleading everyone and everything just to make money. It's disgusting. Okay, so I guess we should wrap it up. There's no more questions. Thank you for what you do, brother. Thank you very much, NK95, and I hope that kind of answered your question. Yeah, thanks again, everyone, to join this amazing live stream. I think 2 hours well spent, and hopefully gonna stay for more videos. Drop in the comments down below if any other questions you have. I'll try my best to answer as always, and stay tuned for more videos. I've got loads of topics, exciting topics coming up, so stay tuned for that, and subscribe if you haven't already. For whatever reason you're still here, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, peace out, guys.